Hello everybody and welcome to a very special event. This is the ATR1000, a 6-hour race at Mount Panorama hosted by the AusTeam Racing League. This event has been running for approximately 20 years and it's the second time I have entered it. It started out on an old NASCAR game in 2004 I believe, and now it's held on ACC. Here are some extended highlights of what was a fantastic event. Pole position went to John Zhu with a 1:59.720 in the Lexus RCF. His teammate Vinny Carniero is starting the race. In the 777 Ferrari is Bruno Ellis and Logan Burton. Third place Gloria Babby and Nathan Henderson in the Nissan. Fourth place is Jay Griffin and Buscovas in the McLaren. Fifth place went to P. Hamilton and Christian Wells. Sixth place to Skinny Luke and Dylan Lester. Then D. Wren in M-Shine in the Pennzoil Ferrari, Wren and Bank in another Ferrari. Then at the vintage livery of the Channel 9 Camaro we have a Bentley driven by Merritt and Mags. Then the father-son duo of the Bevises in the Lavazza Ferrari. 11th place to the Murad and Bennett in the Y&O Ferrari. Then King and Bradley in a McLaren, Bursa and Picken in a Ford, and Smiles and Heckinger in the AMR Vantage in a Victorian police style livery. The Red Bull McLaren of Bracefield and Harnett, the Meatworks Vantage of Newman and Phillips. Then another Red Bull Ferrari of Stevens and Lewin, Nurofen Racing BMW with Bartoletti and Bevegnu, sorry if I've mispronounced that. Then a little bit of a glitch, appears we've got some damage there already on the McLaren of Klassen and Forbes. Then Gu and Juan of the Mercedes Haribo. Then another Aston Martin of Justice and Rowe. McLaren 720 of Starkey and Hudson, Starkey being last year's winner with Convoy. Then we have Cooper and Scaife in the Coca-Cola Ferrari. BMW of Ford and Winter. Then a Mustang of Shalito and Brazil. Ferrari again of Kuzelik, sorry if I mispronounced that, and Lawford. Then another Bentley of Bronze and Blue. Then a VB Mustang of Yore and Wheeler. The BMW of House and Dow. And rounding out the sole Porsche, Macri and Watson. Alright, and here we go for the 2025 ATR1000. Babby took third place off Buscovas straight away. Hamilton looked for the move as well, but was pinched. Lester, Hamilton and Buscovas dragged their way all the way up Mountain Straight. The Red Bull Ferrari of Lewin got punted around at turn 2. He was the first casualty of the race. Dylan Lester was pushing hard on Boscovas at the end of the first lap, and Hamilton catching up and getting in on the action. They once again would drag their way up Mountain Straight. The 2024 winner, Starkey, managed to lose the tail going into Forest Elbow and put the car in the wall on that one. Lap 3 saw Merritt get turned around by Bracefield at the elbow. This set off a chain reaction that would go the whole length of Conrod Straight. Lap 4 saw Dylan Lester get a run on Boscovas approaching Griffin's Bend, but he got bumped off and lost a position as a result. Big moment through the chase for Kuzelik and the Igniter Motorsports Ferrari, somewhat similar to Frosty from 2007. He was joined in sympathy by his Mustang teammate of Brazil. It was an eventful race so far, but on the 6th lap the rain came. Nicholson lost the rear end of his McLaren in the wet and got collected by Forbes in another McLaren in the process. Even the leader was having traction issues on the exit of the chase with the rain. He'd pitted straight away for a driver change, however second place Logan Burton stayed out. It must have been a Ferrari thing, as 5th place Hamilton also stayed out and gained positions because of it. John Zhu and Vinny lost out in the pits, a position gained by Babby. A lap later, the Ferraris decided it was too wet now and came in for wet tyres, Hamilton making a meal of the pit entry and nearly kidding the wall. John Zhu got past Babby as Babby was held up on the exit of the chase by a car still on dry tyres. The overcut had worked well for Hamilton as he gained a position and several seconds on Babby in the process. A rare error from Babby at Reed Park put him in the wall as his rear tyre clipped the grass. The rain was impacting more than just traction, no visibility for Lester as he hit the wall on the approach into Esse's. Kuzelik had another wild ride through the chase after letting lapping traffic past. Race changing moment as Burton lost the lead, hitting a back marker he was passing under blue flags at the cut-in. Not a nice place to be facing backwards. Another close call in low visibility. Hamilton with a ballsy overtake across the top of the mountain past a blue flagger, critical for his race against Boscovas. Then Ren the ballerina, pirouetting his Ferrari at the SEs and doing a nice job recovering it. While they tried not to bleed, the blue flag cars were starting to become a problem. This incident for merit at the chase on lap 22. Boscovas went straight on at Murray's Bend, copping a fair bit of damage to his front end. A mounted Marshall Post camera captured a crash of the Ignited Motorsports Ferrari at Griffin's Bend. Up until lap 25, Hamilton had run a great race, getting the car up into second place, but that was about to change. 6.2 kilometres later, Hamilton spun it at the Yesses after a snap-on entry. In just over a lap, he'd gone from second to fourth. And Blue was the first non-finisher after speeding the pit lane and being disqualified. And a massive shunt for Rennie at Solomon Park. And a few laps later at the same place, a big whack for House as he spun around and got collected by Babby. A big engine slapper for Mags, caught by the slow-mo cameras at the elbow. Another incident for Lockie Bevis, this time a little bit more disastrous than the previous. The Essies claimed another victim in Hudson. This time he had a bit of difficulty getting out of the way of the other cars. Major contact on lap 36 from two of the front running cars, Hamilton going for the switchback but underestimated the narrowness of Babby's exit. The position was redressed a couple of corners later. 2 laps later though, Babby lost it at the cut-in, running slightly deep under brakes, just managing to keep it out of the wall. House and Stevens were having a great battle, however live on the stream, House managed to clip the wall at the tree. A quarter of the way through the race, and a great battle going on between Merritt and Bursa. The two big front engine V8s evenly matched across the top and down Conrod. Lockie Bevis was continuing his charge, taking Shine after catching up on the chase as Shine had to back out to let the leader pass. Excellent use of the blue flag magic from Bevis there. An unusual incident as the VB Mustang of yore drove left straight off Conrod into the wall. Heavy damage for Murad as he lost the car going down the SEs. Skinny Loop recovering his race, overtaking Babby into the chase on lap 50. All the hard work undone, however, as he got stuck behind Ure through McPhillamy and bounced off the curbs. Lockie Bevis continued to push through the field, catching up on Newman and having a 2 or 3 lap battle with him before he finally got the move done. Ure was slow and going around Hell Corner, he was collected and then punched into the wall. Skinny Loop recovering again, now all over the back of Hamilton, in an unusual spot for the two of them to get past a blue flagger. A massive impact for Buscovers in his second stint at Forest Elbow. Hit the wall like mustard. Great driving from Leicester as he passed Merritt around the outside to the cut-in entrance. Igniter Motorsport in the wars again, this time Forbes around at Skyline right in front of the race leader. Dylan Lester started to apply pressure to Newman, and it cost Newman dearly. The same car had a hairy moment at the Skyline just a few laps later. Lap 81, and a dummy move by Picken allows him to get past Phillips. A really close call for Picken and Heckinger at Skyline. A few laps later, Heckinger had a moment at the elbow and was compromised by letting a faster car through. This allowed Phillips to get the run on him into the chase. And halfway through the race, the 3-hour mark, John Zhu and Vinny Carniero hold a commanding lead over Logan Burton and Ellis. And then on track, third place Dylan Lester and Skinny Luke, fourth Christian Wells and Hamilton, and fifth Barbie and Henderson. Outrageous behaviour as the 846 Aston of Skinny Luke and Dylan Lester is wiped out by a backmarker going into the chase. Problems for the number 64 McLaren on lap 89 as he gets it wild on the outside of the chase and then goes off to visit the museum a couple of seconds later. Lap 95 and disaster for Burton with a moment at Skyline impacting the wall. Another setback for him. Disaster struck again just 3 laps later. He lost it under brakes while trying to pass Heckinger. And once again there was an issue with back markers, lap 101, Jim Cooper taking out Shine at the chase. Dramas again for Hudson, this time losing it on entry to Salmon Park. A race-changing moment as third place Christian Wells accidentally came off pit limiter and cost himself a stop-go. Skinny Luke may have been a lap down to Logan Burton, but that didn't stop him from applying some pressure. He was absolutely rapid. At this point in the race, he was the fastest on track, trying to gain some laps back. Unfortunately, on lap 106, disaster was about to hit both of them again. Fast forward to lap 128 and lightning almost struck twice in the same place. The battle for second place in AM class was heating up on lap 130. Bevan, you and King going at it across the top and down the mountain. Lap 138, and once again the Igniter Motorsports McLaren around, this time at the Essies. Once again, Skinny Luke struck disaster as he tried to unlap himself. John and Vinny had run a perfect race all day. They hadn't put a single footer on. That wasn't until lap 140 with some back markers. The leader's 145th lap saw Hudson make an error at the cutting, which led to a bit of a pile-up. Babby lost the rear and had a spin. Hamilton had a panic attack as he came out of the exit of the cutting. Hamilton was trying to chase down Bevis, try and take that third place back late in the race. However, that wasn't going to happen with back markers. Late in the race, Bartoletti and Nicholson were battling hard, even with lapping traffic coming through. Trying to get out of the way, they compromised their own exits in sequential corners. The battle went for the whole lap. The following lap, however, it was all over for the newer from BMW, electing to DNF after this incident. More battles up the field, 7th and 8th, Merritt's and Phillips, they're trying to battle, and the lapping cars of Burton and Griffin also trying to get through. It was at this point through Forest Elbow that the leader crossed to finish the 161st lap. The 1,000 kilometres were up, now there was just time left in the race. Pretty soon, Phillips was under pressure from another driver, this time the Mustang of Bursa. With only 20 minutes left, another incident for the Igniters Motorsports McLaren. The blue BMW of Dow and House had been in the wars all day. Unfortunately, even with 10 minutes left in the race, that wasn't stopping. Nicholson was trying to bring the car home, but with 8 minutes left, the Ignited Motorsports McLaren had different ideas. After 6 hours of racing, it was John Zhu and Vinny Carniero taking the checkered flag first. 173 laps, 1,074 kilometers of driving. They drove an almost perfect race, so almost to the point of being the perfect race. Congratulations. Second place went to Logan Burton and Brano Ellis. Third place to the father-son duo of the Bevises. Great move from them from 10th starting. Hamilton and Christian Wells took out 4th place. And 5th place went to Griffin and Buscovas. Griffin and Buscovas were also 1st place in the Pro-Am class. 2nd place in Pro-Am was Merritt and Mags. 3rd place in Pro-Am went to the Aston Martin of Heckinger and Smiles. 1st place in AM class went to Rowe and Justice, another Aston Martin. 2nd in AM class went to the Ferrari of Stevens and Lewin. And 3rd in AM class went to the sole Porsche in the field, rather worn-torn, of Macri and Watson. Have to give our gratitude to the people who organised this event. Gavin Chat in particular, the man in race control. He's run this race for a couple of years, or quite a few years, and he does a great job of it. He brings a lot of good drivers together, and we have a lot of fun every October. I really enjoy this event, it's my favourite on the calendar. Congratulations to all the drivers who raced and finished. Vinny and John finishing first, such a dominant race from them. Cannot say hard enough how well they did. Links to all the race results and the website for AusTeam Racing and the ATR1000 will be provided in the description. Thanks all, have a good afternoon, and thanks for watching.